the Disneyfication of Warcraft. Imagine if I have an opinion on this. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Here we go.
World of Warcraft is one of the most tragic victims of the modern gaming industry that World of Warcraft is one of the most tragic victims of the modern gaming industry that brutally mishandles legendary IPs and turns them into shadows of their former selves. It's a textbook example of you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Bro.
In its foundations, Warcraft established a certain look or aesthetic for itself that made it really stand out in a sea of other titles in the fantasy genre.
It had a hyper-masculine, badass look. It was so cool.
Notably, despite their clear influences from other games, the races of Warcraft had their own flair about them that you could only find in Warcraft or WoW. However, over the years, we have seen a devastating shift in tone, writing, and art direction that have turned WoW from this vast, gritty fantasy that did have a bit of whimsy here and there to a full-on Disney-fied version of its former self. Today, I want to talk a bit about how WoW lost its uniquely Warcraft identity.
They just started having the game run by women and made for women. That's why. That's the reason why. It's that simple. It's actually that simple. You might not like it.
Focusing mainly on art and aesthetics, and just have a bit of an honest discussion on what exactly went wrong and why it matters in the context of a changing, out-of-touch industry that has plunged many legendary franchises into an identity and aesthetic crisis. Before we get started, hi, my name is Angelica, and this is a video that I have been building up to for a while. It isn't a new discussion, but it's really important to me as somebody who grew up with Warcraft, and I am probably the way that I am because of it. And previously on this channel, we have had several in-depth discussions on the races of Warcraft and certain aesthetic and tone shifts that have fundamentally changed how they were even from Warcraft 3 to Vanilla WoW, or even some things that have straight up ruined everything that was unique about a particular race. It hits hardest with the Night Elves, as we have seen, where they went from these savage men and women who fought with a brutality that even the orcs couldn't believe to please don't hurt my tweed. You can check this video out if you want to hear about it in more detail, but
because they got rid of Illidan. He was the only real one.
For me, this has sparked a wider discussion on where exactly WoW lost this brutal...
I'm sorry, but like, I mean, this is for dudes. This is absolutely for dudes. This is for guys 100. That's for guys right there. Dudes see this and they're like, oh, badass.
Warcraft essence, and how did we get to these Disney vibes? Honestly, you don't really have to do any in-depth analysis to see that there is a massive difference between even these images here, as if they come from totally different universes.
Absolutely.
Everyone looks so bubbly, kind. Even the rougher options for faces look so soft and clean. It's missing that bit of spice that we saw with...
It used to be a savage fucking game, and now it's just not like that at all anymore. It's just
older models, and this bubbly, well-rounded and smooth kind of look really goes for how the rest of the world looks as well. Some people suggest that this is just the natural way that it progressed with these newer models.
Absolutely not.
I would argue that it definitely could have taken a different way if they wanted it to.
Absolutely
just
not.
Look at these unused human models and
look at that guy. You've got fucking Rob Zombie and Tinnitus right there. Like, these dudes look fucking badass.
How much they resemble their Warcraft 3 selves.
Yeah.
There was already a shift in tone from the start of vanilla World of Warcraft, but at that point it wasn't anything too egregious, even though it would have been nice to see them explore this particular look for humans.
They kind of did a little bit. The Kultirans are this general style, but I'm sad we don't have one of these.
intimidating, sharper look, and something that made them stand out from humans in other fantasy games.
Yeah.
Warcraft 3 was a defining game for the
was the
overall
game.
look that made WoW so great. They established a very interesting balance between the masculine and the feminine that worked in harmony to amplify one another. By this, I mean it
Well, they also made feminine characters that were badass. Like Toronto, like I really didn't like, this is like a personal like pet peeve with me with Warcraft, is that I really didn't like, and I think it was patch 5.2. This was in Mists of Pandaria, where Varian Wrynn had to like talk Tyrande down from like being you know, like aggressive and problematic in the war with the Horde in Pandaria. I thought it was just so disrespectful to the character, and I was like, this bitch is like thousands of years old. She's led wars against demons. Like, what do you mean Varian Wrynn is like telling her to calm down and to act normal? It just seemed so disrespectful to the character. I mean, she's supposed to be like the goddess of Elune, or like the avatar of Elune at that point, right? The moon goddess. Like, what the fuck? Making Night Elves to the Alliance and the WoW defang the Night Elves? Well, there used to be 4 factions. It was the Night Elves, the Undead, the Orcs, and then the Tauren and the Trolls were inside of them, right? The small horde. And then it was the Alliance, which was the humans, the gnomes, and the dwarves, right? This is the way it used to be. And that was in Warcraft 3. And they simplified it in WoW, and I do think that it caused problems. And for a while, it wasn't a problem because Sylvanas kept the undead separate from the horde, right? And I think they did a good job with that. But after she was gone and they changed her character, it just got 1,000 times worse. And yeah, and also like Jaina was a badass, Sylvanas was a badass, Tyrande was a badass. Like, I'm trying to think if there were any other like major female characters in Warcraft 3. I think those were the main 3. Maiev was a badass even. Like, she did get Illidan. At the end of the day, she got his ass. And Vashj, yeah, Lady Vashj as well. Yeah, no, you're right, because she was working with, you know, fucking Kael'thas and them. And no, you're right. And so, like, you had all of these characters that were great, and they just, it's like they can't write characters like that anymore. It's very cringe.
Into the side of fantasy that is effortlessly, universally appealing. Strong, believable characters, flawed, but each with their own personalities and their own motivations when it comes to the greater fight for the good of their own race, or...
If Blizzard was brave, they would have another time skip where we go back in time and we help Arthas kill everyone in Strathlum. And then we go to Northrend, and with the combined power of the Alliance and the Horde, we help him vanquish Mal'Ganis and take vengeance for Lordaeron. And we set the timeline right. Because Jaina and Uther were wrong completely, and Arthas was right about everything.
Whatever cause they support. A very mature
He was
approach that
completely
gave
right.
a lot of room for growth and a future for Warcraft. It
Arthas
reminds me
did
of how
nothing
The
wrong.
Lord of the Rings, particularly the movies, are so appealing to literally everyone. They never needed to overcompensate in a way that a lot of modern games and fantasy in general tends to do nowadays. For example, did you know that in total, if you take all of the main female characters and put their screen time together, you don't even get a full hour? And
No wonder they're so good.
despite this, The Lord of the Rings has a massive female fan base. Then
Well, that's because, and the other reason too is that a lot of women want to date a guy that's like Aragorn, right? Or like Faramir. Like, that's really, I mean, this is that is really, I think for a lot of girls, that's peak masculinity. And like, yeah, younger girls like Legolas, but like I'm talking about like, you know, older women, like you're a 35-year-old woman, you know, you're going to be like, oh my God, Aragorn is amazing, right? And so, or Boromir, maybe, right? And so like, that's it.
you can look at the Rings of Power and how they massacred Galadriel's
Yeah.
character to where she's no longer a strong, wise elf, but an insufferable girl boss who behaves like those main characters from the Disney shows. Everything feels over-exaggerated, overplayed, and unnatural. Warcraft had a place for everybody, not because they had to fit someone in to meet a quota, but because the world naturally formed in this way. In the RTS, for example, the Night Elves, despite being such a wild and brutal race, are actually a matriarchal society, and little things like even the in-game callouts are done with a female voice, as opposed to the other races that have male voice callouts. Modern WoW has a lot of flaws when it comes to writing, but particularly female characters.
And I think that was another component, is that like Malfurion and Tyrande were like viewed as equals in a lot of ways, right? Like Malfurion was like a arc druid that was trained by Cenarius, who was like a demigod, and then Tyrande was like the goddess of the moon, the priestess of the moon, that was imbued by power from Elune, which is like their god. So like there truly was equality there. I don't know what the hell happened.
Feel so forced, unnatural, and like their motivation doesn't come from a genuine place, but instead it's all just sort of performative. Sylvanas went from the tragic survivor of the Lich King, the powerful Banshee Queen that unified the Forsaken, to a cartoony villain. The rest of the writing across the world, coupled with the cadence with which female characters speak, is just, it's Disney.
Is that
Thoradin's Wall? Yes.
Then the stories and legends I read as a child were true.
This is an infamous example. The way that it looks like a—
Compare that to whenever they're sailing up at the end of Fellowship of the Ring with like the two fucking, those two different statues. Like the aura used to be there and now it's fucking gone. Is she blind? She's blind and disabled.
Poorly made machinima from the early days, and to be fair, even those look better.
I've watched this. This is so terrible.
He sold us out so the Alliance and Horde could wage war in Khazalgar.
By the way, this is an official cinematic, and it gets completely mogged by 15-year-old videos on Warcraft movies. It's not even close.
You'll never understand.
But it's that overplayed style of narration that is used to tell you about history that is somehow relevant to the plot. The shades that she's wearing are also kind of throwing me off. We get two supposedly strong female characters here, but their dialogue is so poorly written, and it's delivered in such a strange way that I can't help but just cringe at it. There was talk about this sort of thing happening a lot, not just in WoW, but in other games in general, in an attempt to make games more appealing to women.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exact. I told you, see, I said at the beginning of the video, it's actually that simple.
Is the industry's idea of what is supposed to be appealing to women. A corporate-brained group of people that never really had interest in video games to begin with came up with this. An out-of-touch entity that has all of the power, but none of the creativity to bring Warcraft back to its former glory. Why is it that in order to appeal to female gamers, we need to infantilize the dialogue and the writing to Disney levels? Things like this are straight up insulting to everybody's intelligence. I wonder how it passed quality checks. Is there nobody there that listens back to this and says, hey, maybe this is a little bit silly?
It's a culture of toxic positivity. Nobody's going to talk down the inclusion of a female, black, disabled, one-armed character. It's not going to happen, because doing so would put your job at risk, because even criticizing something like that would make you seem like you're a racist or there's something wrong with you. So what happens inside of the company is that there's a culture of silence and a culture of toxic positivity where these woke things just continue to get worse and worse and more overt as time goes on. And I think that the result of that is that you have characters that are just completely unlikable, annoying, they don't resonate with anybody, and it's because nobody at the company can tell these people no, because if you do, then you go to HR for being a Nazi. That's the problem. That's the issue. And I think that very clearly what happened is that Warcraft had, I think, still a pretty serious dark story, and what really killed it was the sexual assault allegations. I really feel like after that happened, the entire like narrative of the game, like that, we got Dragonflight after Shadowlands. Dragonflight was a like profoundly different vibe story than anything that we had before that. And, you know, they replaced all of the women in bikinis with the fucking fruit. They changed a bunch of achievements for, like, Valentine's Day, where it's like you don't have to do certain things with female characters anymore. It's just basically they got Me Too'd so bad because the company did have bad weirdos there. They did have those bad weirdos in the company. But the problem is that those bad weirdos were the ones writing the main story, and the people that replaced them weren't able to write their own stories that were that good, and they had to overcompensate for it. I think that's what happened. McCree got renamed in Overwatch. Yeah, there's that too. You're right.
This is a little side note that goes beyond World of Warcraft and
That's where
shows
things
you
change.
just how much the industry does not take female characters or female gamers seriously, and how much they misunderstand us. A recent example is God of War Laufey, which is such an unfortunate thing for me because a game along the lines of Heavenly Sword or a God of War game with a female protagonist does sound like it's something that would appeal to me, like I would be the target audience for that kind of game. But when I watched the showcase and heard little bits of her dialogue and what she was saying, I felt confused.
The problem is that all of the fantasy stories now, like if you watch the Willow show, if you watch Rings of Power, if you watch The Witcher, it's all the same. It is. It's all the same. And with video games, it's the same as well. Like, there's not as much of a unique style to this at all.
Okay.
It's a huge problem.
I think they're gone.
Just be careful. Where are we anyway?
Afterlife of the gods?
Oh.
I call it the everyone. So, what's the plan, boss?
Stories for little girls?
boss
No, they're
think?
not. They're stories for quirky loser millennials.
Why does she have to be so quirky, and why are
Yeah.
we so afraid
Yeah,
of
exactly.
or embarrassed by a true fantasy setting where people speak and act like they would in a serious, mature fantasy
Yep.
setting? Why is there a gelatinous cube named Frank? Where in Greek mythology did we have something like this? The creation of these cartoony girl bosses or quirk chunguses show that they don't really understand what made other fantasy titles so popular with female gamers.
There's also, like, I think that women, this is, again, I'm really not an expert on women, if you can't tell. But I think that women do really, truly value sincerity. And I think that the constant quirkiness and removal of any sort of serious nature of something is off-putting. It's off-putting to women and to men. And I think that they value it because it's emotionally engaging. It is. And so, like, and I've noticed this before, is that, like, whenever you talk to a girl in a way that's, like, more serious, oftentimes it can be more effective than if you add emojis at the end of every single sentence and you know, like, put raffle or, like, LOL at the end of everything. Right? I think it's true. Like, that they don't really like that as much. I mean, there's some girls that like it. It's not like they don't like it at all. But I think that really that type of, and the reason why I think that, you know, I'm going to go, oh God, this is going to be, oh geez, it's so sexist. So I think that women are more biologically engineered to value sincerity because they have to, because the men that weren't sincere to them left them with a baby and they died. I think they're biologically wired to value sincerity more and in a unique way versus men. Bro, you're so dumb. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. That's just what I think. I'm making all of this up. I have no evidence for this. I have no foundation for this. I literally just invented this in my head. But that's what I think.
Look at things like Skyrim or even Elden Ring as like a really small example. They are games that are just completely themselves. Every character fits naturally into their setting. There is no unnecessary comic relief to make female characters more relatable or less awkward, and there's no Disney-style over-narration of events to make sure that girls will understand what's going on. Those games are just good, and that is why everybody likes them. You don't have to overcompensate at every turn with cute and whimsical characters to get girls to play your game. I'm gonna say something.
Well, and that's another thing. It's like, oh, we want to get girls to play the game. How do we do it? Okay, so this is what you have to do. Listen, so you have to add in, okay, so you want to get like a little cute like stuffed animal thing. And then you have to put it in a game because girls, they loved it because their brains are like the size of an egg, right? And they're stupid. So you have to show them like a stuffed animal and they're like, oh my God, it's so cute. And then they're all going to play your game, bro. It's so easy, dude. That's all you have to do.
It's that performative male feminism has majorly contributed to the industry's skewed and out-of-touch view of female gamers. When this sort of thing receives any bit of criticism, you'll have the white knights come out and say, oh...
Men being closed off to women's stories? Dude, oh my God, how cringe.
Weak men, fragile masculinity, you hate women if you don't like...
And also, like, the concept about this is, like, it's so... It's so stupid to me because, like, who cares whether somebody else like this thinks it's masculine or not? Like, why would any guy who's reading this is not going to be like, oh my God, Jared doesn't think I'm strong. I guess I have to change my opinion. Like, it's just it's so female consensus coded that it's obvious.
This sort of thing. Okay, if you take actual incels out of the equation, which nobody really takes them seriously, the truth is that a female protagonist isn't the problem. If that were the case, so many massive franchises wouldn't have even been half as successful as they are.
Didn't we just have Resident Evil Requiem come out and it was really good? And Grace wasn't sexualized at all in that game. She was attractive, sure. But, like, it's not like she was sexualized, and nobody even talked or complained about that for a second. And that movie came out this year. So it's all bullshit. Like, we don't even need to go back and look at, like, an old video game like Tomb Raider or Nier Automata. Like, just look at a few months ago.
The problem is with modern developers that will take a legendary, well-established IP and use it as leverage to sell their own games with mediocre writing. Let's be honest, nobody would buy this if it didn't have the World of Warcraft label on it.
And that's exactly.
Not be focusing on the extremes that deflect from valid criticisms and concerns when it comes to things like this. Nobody who's normal has any real problem with a female game protagonist, but we also shouldn't reward mediocrity just because the protagonist is a woman.
I do think to an extent people have kind of like they've poisoned the well by doing it so many times and positioning the female protagonists as being superior to the male protagonists in like a bunch of ways, and like just the way that the characters are written, etc. I do think that they have poisoned the well, that there are some people that will just, like, the moment they see a woman, they're like, oh my, no! Right? And the thing is that, like, yeah, it's stupid to do that, but at the same time, it's not a surprise. Because if you keep showing people that same pattern, then that's what they're going to expect to see.
Male feminism has been incredibly damaging to so many studios, including Blizzard, who did have a lot of skeletons in the closet of their own in real life, but they thought that it would be reasonable to turn women into fruit as compensation. I've asked this before, and I will ask this again. What message does this send about women's bodies, especially in a mature fantasy setting? It's hardly a children's...
Well, it's people that don't want to have women be sexualized at all. But the problem is never, and this is the main issue that people miss with sexualization. So sexualizing women in a way that is inappropriate. Like, for example, some woman is just dressed in like a normal clothes and people are trying to take photos of her in certain positions, upskirt photos. Like, basically, it's very obvious, maybe it at least is to me, it's very obvious when a woman is trying to be seen for being sexy versus not. Like, it's about the way that you dress. It's about the way that you present yourself. It's, you know, like if you're laying down, taking a photo of yourself in a bikini like that, you're trying to be perceived and appreciated for your body. That's the way it works. That doesn't mean it's okay to sexually assault somebody. Of course not. But the idea there is very different than somebody who's trying to like stare at a girl at a gym, right? And I don't know about you guys, but like, every normal guy kind of knows this, right? Like, we all kind of know this, where it's like very clearly it's a big difference between, you know, there's girls like, you know, on Twitch, for example, there are girls that just sit around and all they do is dance around with like their boobs out. It's very obvious that sexualizing this person is the purpose of the stream. Versus other people that this, you know, this is a girl that just plays video games. All she does is play video games. And all of her top clips are her walking away so people can get shots of her ass. That's weird. It is. It's weird. And so I think that normal guys understand that there's a really big difference between the unwanted voyeuristic sexualization that's inappropriate and violates people's privacy versus sexualization whenever women are dressing in a way and presenting themselves like, hey, look at me, I'm really hot. It's like the difference. Well, I'm going to do one more. It's the difference between like seeing a girl in a bikini, right, versus seeing a girl in lingerie. People say, well, why do women like one and not the other? They get embarrassed for one and not the other. It's because they're prepared to be seen in a bikini. They're not prepared to be seen in lingerie. It's about the intent. And I think people, am I wrong? Guys, like, we understand this, right? We get it. It's not the same. But there's some guys, I think weirdos, that just don't get it. And it's very disappointing because a lot of it, and I think even like guys misinterpreting signals, etc. Like, oh yeah, I thought she was into me. I leaned in for a kiss and she got upset. Like, it's not really the end of the world, right? It's really not. Like, I mean, it's mistakes. That's life. But at the end of the day, I think that you need to have a degree of like honesty and also a degree of just like understanding. Yeah, it is now. Yeah, and I think that's the way a lot of women feel too. Like, I'm not a big woman understander, but that's what I believe.
This game, if we're honest, I mean, most of the people that are playing World of Warcraft
can't read the room.
At the least,
I disagree that dudes can't read the room in a lot of cases. I think that dudes don't read the room because they want to engage in the behavior that's degenerate and damaging to women, but they want to pretend like they don't understand it while they're doing it so they can feel like they have the moral ability to do it. I think that many men, if a guy was doing that to your sister or your daughter, you would be losing your fucking mind and you would want to beat the shit out of them. But whenever you're doing it, you're going to say, oh, well, she's asking for it. Oh, well, whatever else, right?
Would be in their mid-20s, but I'd say the average is like 30s, 40s, and above. And this is just part of the overall problem, but going back to modern or retail WoW, when the harmonious masculine and feminine elements of the game were neglected, toned down, and stripped back for a more family-friendly version of the game or something that would appeal
it's almost
to
like
more
consent
people,
matters.
It resulted in a kind of a theme park look or feel for the game. You try to make something that appeals to everybody, it then appeals to nobody. There is the added
they also made the furry races. The furry races are weird.
Issue of too many things going on at once. There are too many races, there are too many flashy mounts and toys, too many shop items, and it all creates visual noise. This is the backdrop, but in the foreground, the way that the characters are animated.
She's actually more right about this than she knows. I don't know how much of the game she plays, but like, one of the big problems is that like nobody cares about a lot of these mounts, right? Nobody remembers all of these mounts. And so the problem is that Like, I mean, this is that's the war mammoth from Dalaran, and that's the horde version because it has the red around it, or that's the mount from Sepulchre, or that's the yak that you're able to buy. There is so many items in the game now, and so many things in the game that like the novelty of seeing Ashes of Alar is just gone because there's 50,000 versions of Ashes of Alar. I think that's the main issue.
How they move, how they run.
Yeah, the ZG Tiger stood out because there wasn't 50 other fucking tigers.
Cast spells, etc., is so overdone, and for me it plays like some cartoon or something that isn't really that serious. I think it's important to note just how impactful this change is. We went from these more grounded and down-to-earth animations to the more over-the-top variety that, perhaps because of what I'm used to, feels very unnatural and frantic. Recently, WoWgrandor did a video about why WoW isn't immersive anymore. Just on that conversation, a lot of these new locations with the latest expansions, for me, are a little hard to appreciate with just how much is going on. It's not that these places aren't beautiful. There is a certain charm there, but I think that World of Warcraft is a game that greatly benefits from minimalism where possible in terms of world design. It is so much easier to get immersed in a simple, dark forest where the environment is
It's massively over-designed. This problem started in Warlords of Draenor, and like every single square foot of the world has like 3 different functions. I think it's a huge problem. Like, as I said before, like, this is what I've always had my opinion as. Classic WoW, if Classic WoW was S tier, nothing else was even A tier. It was just so much the superior version of the game that everything else just sucks compared to it.
Made up of limited but effective components that get across how you're supposed to feel about this place and what it represents, as opposed to these massive, overblown, overly detailed locations.
I mean, it was a cool reveal to see this, but she's right that it's over-designed. I think weapons are a really great example of that. If you look at the simplicity of a weapon like Soul Cleaver from Black Temple, and then you compare it to some of the new weapons that have like 50 different pieces of ornate markings on them, it's just over-designed. It's way too over-designed. Like, a lot of things in WoW now, you know what it feels like? Did you guys ever have, like, the first time you used Photoshop, where you, like, type text, and then you add in every filter under the text, and then the text looks really weird and stupid? I think that's kind of what happened with WoW, is that the design of the game has every text filter on at the same time.
Where your eyes kind of don't know what to focus on in order to properly appreciate the setting. It's kind of a shame for the better designed parts of the game also, because this just completely clashes with it and takes away from any good art that's created in modern World of Warcraft. Just completely overshadowed by silliness and a general lack of direction. I think that the true Disneyfication started with Draenor when they had the catastrophic change in character models that all but wiped the core identities of many of the races of Azeroth, but as time went on, I think that the Disney element was melded together with a Fortnite element. Fortnite was a
Dragonflight was the end. Dragonflight was it.
Massive and game-changing influence all across the industry, especially with their specific approach to monetization. What started out with a simple skin shop and then turned into the battle pass where you could additionally earn currency, later grew into something that featured all kinds of things, including celebrity cameos, TV show cameos, cameos from other games. So when you go into a Fortnite lobby, everyone is just some different looking thing. There's no rhyme or reason, no harmony, but for a game like Fortnite, this is fine. It's a battle royale. You're in, you're out. It's not that deep. I don't think anybody really cares about Fortnite lore or keeps up with it unless they're like 6 or 7 years old. And to me, that's what a lot of World of Warcraft looks like now. I think transmog was a good idea at its conception, but also with all of the quirky cosmetics and things that don't really fit.
It's just fucking retarded. It's fucking retarded. Look at this. This is stupid. I don't want to look at this. Like, it's just dumb. I don't like it. It's not the game that we used to have, man. It's just not. Like, if you can, like, the vibe, the style, everything is totally different. Nothing about it is appealing. It's not. It's just stupid.
Warcraft in its original sense,
I like this
cities
one,
and
though. I
hubs
always
can
did like
now
this
look
one.
a little bit like a Fortnite lobby, just with all of the flashy mounts, new races, and
It's actually crazy to say that the cities in WoW look like Fortnite lobbies now. That is fucking brutal. Oh my god.
everything
Wow.
else in between. I think Dragonflight was the next major Disney-esque
That's
blow to
horrible.
Warcraft, something that really pushed it over the edge into a more immature fantasy setting.
Yeah,
People
Dragonflight
often
was,
misunderstand why there is still such a great appreciation for Warcraft in its earliest iterations, or World of Warcraft from vanilla to about Wrath. But it was just that no matter where you went, even if people were wearing...
I mean, you look right here, and it's like, it's so easy. The problem is also, it's like oversaturation and overstimulation. Like, every single thing in this screen, like, anybody that plays the game a lot could immediately identify, whether it's the, you know, priest tier 3, the face of death, the paladin tier 3, the mace from fucking Neltharion, like everything, the paladin gear right there, like everything. Like, people remember this shit. And or not paladin gear, it's actually the alliance gear. So all of this stuff was in the game and people loved it. And then over time, I think that really they just added so much of it, the style changed, that there was just a massive overflow and nobody knows what anything is anymore. And there's no, like, share, like, if you had, for example, like, let's say you're this guy, okay? You're the paladin in full tier 3. You've got, or the priest, right? I think paladins, the gear just looks cooler. You would have people standing around you, inspecting you and being like, oh my god, this guy looks fucking awesome. And that's like a priest with Atiesh over there. Holy shit. So, like, you see this kind of stuff, and, like, there was an appreciation for the content in the game because there was few enough of these, like, cool things in the game that everybody had a collective understanding of what the cool and impressive things were. That's it.
Mismatched gear as you do while you're leveling, you looked like you belonged in this world.
Yeah.
Old World of Warcraft is so loved by that side of the community because it's a game that has more than just gameplay going for it. You have gameplay at the center of everything, of course, but beside that you have lore, compelling storytelling, a sense of scale when it comes to the world, adventure, a unique identity and aesthetic, and of course the overall added bonus of nostalgia. You really cannot compete with nostalgia. For retail WoW, it feels like you just have gameplay. Because the only good things I ever hear about retail WoW is only ever just related to gameplay. I know
I don't think that the gameplay is good at all. I hate the gameplay of retail WoW. It's just, it's spammy. There are like a million fucking buttons in the game. They're like playing the game, it's very formulaic. It's just not like, I don't like the fact, I don't like Mythic Plus. I don't like raiding. I don't like PvP. It's just over-designed. It's massively over-designed. It's just way too much. Yeah, like, I remember, like, this was in Shadowlands and also in Dragonflight, that I would, like, go live and I would say, like, okay, I'm going to play Mythic Plus today and I'm going to finish my Keystone Master. And I did one dungeon and I'm like, I'm fatigued. I'm tired. I don't want to play anymore. And I just quit. That's it. And so, like, it's just, it's over-designed, man. It's draining. Yeah, it's so sweaty. It's like back in the day, you would have, like, a boss fight. The boss fight would last for, like, 5 minutes. And then you had, you know, like 2 or 3 minutes before the polls, and then you did it again. But, like, with Mythic Plus and fights now, like, the amount of focus and things that are happening and mechanics that are going on and interplay between the classes, like, it feels like the game just got designed for the increasing skill cap of the top 10% of the player base, whereas the bottom, like, 50% of the player base basically stayed the same, and those people just got more and more left out of the process. It's a chore. You don't have to do Mythic Plus, though. Well, I don't have to play the game at all. I learned that a few years ago. I think a lot of people did.
classic versus retail discourse is around the difficulty level of the game. Some classic players say retail is too easy, and retail players argue that it's not. And to be fair, I actually can believe that retail WoW would be quite a bit more difficult. Early WoW...
It's infinitely more difficult. Classic WoW is a joke. It's super easy. The game didn't really get hard until Cataclysm. Everything before Cataclysm was really easy. And then Cata really dialed up the difficulty. Like, if you look at the mechanical interplay between, like, for example, Nefarian and Onyxia, that is crazy level of interplay that you don't see in any fight in any of the original trilogy. That's an insane level of complexity. Cata raids were tough. Well, that's what killed the player base. Because it was too hard. Like, the content was straight up too fucking hard. Like, there were too many things you had to organize, too many things you had to plan. Back in the day, you could have a lot of dead weight. You could have dead weight. Like, you could have people that were bad at the game, people that were stupid, and it didn't really matter because you could just carry them anyway. Nax was a guild killer. Nax was a guild killer, you're right. But, like, by the time that you got to Nax, you had already completed so much of the other content. Now, that happens a lot earlier on in the progression cycle.
Was pretty simple if you think about it, and unless you're playing hardcore, it's not really that hard to get through the game. It takes a longer time, sure, and I think maybe certain parts of the game are harder than they would be in retail, but overall, when it comes to even the end game, I do think retail probably does have more challenging elements.
Infinitely more
I
challenging.
have been told that I only dislike retail WoW because I'm just not good enough to play it. And
well, maybe that. Well, here's the thing: is like I think for me that's partially true. It is. Like, I'm not really as good at retail WoW anymore. I mean, I would hope I'm not. I haven't played in, like, a year. So, like, I mean, I just don't find, like, if I can't have fun playing a video game and just being, like, kind of mediocre at it, then, yeah, why would I want to play the game? Why would I want to be good at a game if I'm not even having fun being bad at a game? Like, Dark Souls feels good even when you're bad at Dark Souls because occasionally you'll actually get hits. A really great example of this is, like, Monster Hunter. Even if you're really bad at the game, every once in a while, you're going to hit the TCS, which is that's the great sword where he goes, like, instead of just going like this, he goes, and then he goes again. It does a lot of damage, right? You will eventually hit the TCS on that boss, and it will feel fucking amazing. And that feeling is what encourages people to continue playing the game so they can continue having that feeling. Nowadays, you don't have any of that. It's not like that. So there's no reason, there's no inspiration to be really good at the game anymore. So a lot of people don't have fun, like, because it is overstimulating, it is stressful, and it's like just because you're able to overwhelm that, like, I mean, there's a lot of people, like, there's people that play World of Warcraft for like 12 hours a day that are calling other people pussies because they don't want to get overstimulated in a video game. Meanwhile, this person's managing a nuclear power plant in real life. Like, I mean, it's just it's such a stupid opinion to have. Like, just because you're good, nobody cares if you're good at a video game. Like, it's just really, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, being good at a video game should be fun. It should be fun. It should be rewarding. It should be enjoyable. It should be something that you want to do. You should want to be good at the video game. Classic WoW made you want to be good at the game. Retail WoW doesn't. It's just stressful. If it's not fun, why bother? Yeah.
Here's what I'll tell you.
Explain the logic for game tournaments then? Sure. Look at the amount of popularity of WoW's game tournaments.
Don't even have an incentive to try. I don't want to try to be good at it.
Who cares?
It just doesn't look like the kind of game that I want to play. A lot of it's just too smooth and polished, and it really feels disconnected from its roots. And to me, those are the things that are important. And in talking about this and in making videos like this, I have found an entire community of players like me that find value in the exact same things, and for the exact same reasons they cannot or they do not play retail WoW. I don't know what's going on in the lore anymore, and you know what?
I said it before, and I think that WoW failed, and I don't know, failed. I think that's just like so overdramatic. WoW lost a lot of people because they catered to the top 10% and the bottom 10% of the player base. And everybody that was in that middle 80% totally didn't get catered to. And Classic WoW catered to everybody except for maybe like the top 5% of players and the bottom 5%. But they just made the game more and more accessible to where all of the accomplishments in the game were either super complex and hyper convoluted, or like, you know, Mythic Ashara. Or you compare that to, you know, like, it's like, okay, well, you know, click the button. You're the savior of Azeroth now. That's it. You can only say classic is easy because you know it already. No, I can say it's easy because it objectively has 3 mechanics on every boss. And if you compare that to retail WoW, like, read Mythica, like, are you fucking retarded?
But he does. This was a major discussion in the community recently. Nobody has any idea what's going on. They've written themselves into a corner. We're probably gonna get like a ton of retcons or time travel or something, just like Mortal Kombat. The best thing that they've done recently seems to be housing. Everybody loved housing, and I'll be honest, I look at it and based on the kind of games that I play, I would probably interact with this and enjoy it quite a lot myself. But it's just still not enough of an incentive for me to want to come back to the game overall. There is such an unfortunate stigma around people who prefer classic WoW literally just for the way it looks. Do you know how many times I have been called a chud gamer for talking about this? What do you want me to say? The chuds yearn for storytelling. They yearn for lore.
They yearn for ambience, environments, immersion, and world building. The main character of vanilla WoW was Azeroth. Now, you're the main character. And the problem is that, you know, the Warrior of Light in Final Fantasy XIV is the main character, and that is established at the very beginning. But the shift is the problem.
Gritty, dark fantasy with some whimsy here and there. A simpler time when the game didn't feel so confusing and silly. But let me tell you something right now, I have the solution. No, it is not to play Classic WoW. Those servers have a bunch of issues. We'll wait for Classic Plus. I'll keep my mind open. The solution, ladies and gentlemen, is to reject corporate slop and embrace tradition. If you are watching this video, then I am telling you right now to go and install Warcraft 3 Reforged and go back to playing a real game.
Is that good now?
Not just the campaign, but really play Warcraft 3 PvP. Go watch a Grubby video, go watch Happy play in a tournament, go learn a build order, and just get in the game. It has to be reforged, so we cannot escape all of the corporate slop, but you can toggle classic graphics and immerse yourself in a real, brutal, gritty Warcraft as God intended. Oh, but you like decorating your house in retail World of Warcraft?
Too bad, bitch!
Go build a base.
Yeah.
Like a man. Or a woman. Some burrows or a ziggurat, whatever you're into. Go play a real game that still holds true to the roots of one of the greatest game franchises of all time. And then 1v1 me on the ladder, if you aren't chicken. But on a serious note, I maintain that everybody should be able to just play whatever they want, even if it is retail WoW. There's clearly still an audience.
I just wish I got to play what I wanted rather than what people that didn't even like my game wanted. That's the problem, is that they changed the audience of the game. They used to make the game for chuds, and now they don't make the game for chuds anymore. Like, can you imagine? Like, I remember so well the day that the Warlords of Draenor cinematic came out, where I watched the cinematic in bed on my it was my first smartphone, right? And I was like, oh my god, oh what, oh my god, and I got up and I'm like, Ma, you turn on the computer. Turn on, do look at the launcher, look at the trailer. And then I immediately went and watched the trailer with my mom. Oh my god. It was so good. World of Chudcraft, yeah. They took us for granted, they did. Now you get up and get lightheaded? Does that happen to people?
For it. And even that audience, by the way, already has a lot to say about the writing and various other issues with the game. But in keeping with our previous discussions around the aesthetics of Warcraft and just the overall legendary vibes that we got from it that just weren't recreated anywhere else ever, this was an important video for me to make. And that's why I made it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little rant on the Disneyfication of Warcraft. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. As always, a huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see you all in the next video. Be seeing you.
What a nice video. She's totally right, by the way. I do think that they got massively cucked out by the by that lawsuit. Like the sexual assault lawsuit, I think that the entire game and the vibe behind the game shifted after that. And everything afterwards was like totally, I think, fem slop coded. It was just total fucking garbage. Ruined it all. Yeah, I'm going to link you guys a video. And Josh, I've watched her a lot. I've seen a good number of her videos. I think that she has good takes on this kind of stuff. The fruit paintings, yeah, it's like this is, and that's the problem, right? Is that like, I mean, these are fictional characters that are being sexualized. This isn't a big problem because the people aren't real, right? I mean, like, that's just really so fucking annoying. That's the culture Bobby cultivated. He mixed WoW nerds with COD bros. No, it's just the problem is that, I mean, you're going to have weirdos like that in any studio. Like any time that you have men and women interacting with each other, you're going to have friction points and weirdos and bad actors. That's just the way the world is. I mean, that's the nature of male and female interaction. And you're going to have good stuff. You're going to have bad stuff.